Okay, guys, so let's continue over chapter one, software chapter, which we started in the last class. So, in the last video lecture, we discussed the definition of software, types of software, we discussed definition of operating system, types of operating system, and pros and cons of different operating system. Today, we have two main things to discuss. We'll start discussing with the basic computer terms. Some basic computer terms will be discussed. Secondly, we'll discuss productivity software. So we mainly discuss five different types of productivity software that we use in our businesses and in our daily life as well. So let's start with the basic computer terms. One of the basic computer terms is called apps, and apps are short form of computer applications. So these particular applications are basically small programs, small software which we can run in our computers or even in our cell phone as well. Some of these apps are built in, and some are downloadable. So you can download application from the, for example, in the case of Android, you can download app from Play Store. So to download application or app on Android or Android device, Google account is mandatory. Like you should have a Gmail account. Firstly, you need to create a Gmail account, and then you can download application on your Android device from Play Store. And for iOS, you have to have an Apple account, iCloud account, or Apple account, whatever you want to call it. And the store is called App Store. One of the very interesting thing and very important thing to remember here is the for the iPhone. Firstly, what happens in the iPhone? In iPhone apps are first tested and approved before they have made available for downloading. So if you guys remember, in the last lecture we discussed there are two main tools that we use to actually design an iOS application. For example, if you remember, it's the Swift and Xcode. So these were the two main applications or two main software that we use in order to develop an app. And in Swift, what happens? It actually tests the code, synthesize the code. In Xcode, it actually verifies or validates for any bugs or any errors and all that stuff. So application, short form for computer application, built-in. Some applications are built-in, which comes with by default with cell phone. Some applications are downloadable. And if you want to download application on your smartphone, and if you have an Android device, you need to use you have to have a Google account. It's mandatory for iPhone applications. Firstly, applications are tested, approved before they have made available for downloading. Next is the system management tool. System management tools are basically, there are two main types of system management tool. One is called control panel, and all the possible computer settings are performed or done through the system management tool. Control panel is basically system management tool for Windows. If you have a Windows operating system, control panel is the system management tool. If you have Mac, so it is called system preferences. So for Mac, but again, both are the system management tool. What you can do is you can do computer settings, all possible computer settings, like turn on or turn off your firewall maybe. For example, you can install or even uninstall a program. You can also manage tasks as well. So different tasks can also be managed through the system management tool. And again, within control panel, if you guys open your Windows control panel, you will see plenty of other small application. Like one particular setting could be for your clock settings. Second could be, let's say, maybe firewall settings, network setting, etc., etc. A very important thing is within the system management tool, each particular option, or you can say application, is called applets. So applet is nothing. Applet is basically three things that you need to remember. One, applet is a small application program. Application program. What exactly it does? It actually, applets do the utility related tasks. For example, it could be antivirus is applet, a firewall, like the configuration of firewall setting is applet. What exactly it does? They perform less complex functions. So less complicated functions are performed by applets. So please remember these three things. It is important again. Next, another basic term is installation. Uninstallation, I believe everybody is well familiar with that. Installation is basically when putting a new software or hardware to digital device. New software or hardware to digital device. It is called installation, while uninstallation is basically removing a software from a computer. This is called uninstallation. Okay, I believe everybody is already familiar with these particular terms. These are very commonly used terms. Next is the productivity software. Productivity software, first of all, you need to know what is productivity software. Productivity software is basically an application software. If you remember, we discussed software can be of two types. It could be system software, or it could be application software. Productivity software is basically application software, and as you remember, application software are basically the software which are specifically designed for user, or user can directly interact with those software. For example, software that includes like software that includes Office 365. It is basically a productivity software. And productivity software, what exactly they do? They improve the efficiency of work. Efficiency of work. For example, let's say Microsoft, look at Microsoft Office. So just imagine a life without Microsoft Word. How you could create documents that you can directly print out, how you could actually write a letter and stuff like that. So just imagine now you can write a letter over your phone as well. So there are plenty of applications of this productivity software. Productivity software can be of many types. Our book has discussed 5 types of productivity software. The first is spreadsheets. We'll talk about spreadsheet with example in a while. Second is database programs. Third one is the presentation tools. Fourth is the word processing programs. And the last one is the MIS, which is MIS, Management Information System. Information system, some of you guys might have MIS major, so they will actually learn MIS in detail. MIS has plenty of software in, it's basically a suite of software. In fact, it has mainly 5 software in it. One is called TPS, Transaction Processing System. We'll talk about it in a while. Then Decision Support System. We'll talk about it. Then it's Supply Chain Management System. Then Executive Support System, ESS. Then ERP, enterprise resource planning. So these are basically the MIS is a suite of software, and these are software within MIS. So all these software are basically called productivity software that we use in office environment to improve the efficiency of work and to actually make the things more simpler. So let's start with the spreadsheet. Let me give you a basic idea about spreadsheet. We'll discuss spreadsheet in detail because spreadsheet is one of the software that we need to cover in our SimNet. So spreadsheet, what is a spreadsheet? Just like spreadsheet is just it's Excel sheet where you can actually, you can make a small database in Excel sheets. You can make a small database by using spreadsheet. So spreadsheet, what it allows, small database can be created since they allow numbers and text in cells. So since you can actually write down letters with the numbers, so you can create a small database as well. In Excel sheet, or you can say in spreadsheet, there are plenty of things, plenty of notables. One is called worksheet. Worksheet is basically a single sheet in a work page, in a workbook. Single sheet in a workbook. While secondly, workbook, what is a workbook then? Workbook is basically collection of sheets. So you can create as many sheets as you want. Whenever you open or whenever you create an Excel sheet or Excel document, it's not only one document that might be within that particular Excel file. Excel is basically it's a workbook where you can create multiple sheets in it. Cell reference is basically a location, a small box in our online session. I will actually show you guys location of the cell in the workbook, in the worksheet. Formula, you can create formulas. That's the best thing about Excel. It's basically mathematical operations. It's mathematical operations to perform calculations. Then there are plenty of built-in formulas as well, which are known as functions. So built-in formula. So sometimes you don't have to create formulas. I'll show you guys in our online session, and of course we're gonna work on formulas and functions a lot. Examples of spreadsheets are basically Microsoft Excel, the most widely used spreadsheet. Secondly, Apple Numbers for MacBook, but most of the Mac people, they also use Excel sheets. Then Google Sheets. Google Sheets. This is another example of a spreadsheet. Next is called the database programs. Database programs are basically database is basically nothing. It is the organized collection of related tables. So database is basically tables. So basically database is a collection of tables. Let's say this could be, for example, imagine if it would be a GCC database. So if we write a definition of database, collection of related tables, organized collection of data, or organized collection of tables. So this could be table number 1, that could be table 2, that could be table 3. Let's say if it would be a GCC database, it would be all together, of course. So what will happen, let's say we have student data here, staff data here, faculty data is stored in this particular table. Let's say this is student ID, and let's say that's student name, staff ID, name, faculty ID, their name. For example, there could be many other columns, many other stuff as well. Okay, within the database, there are few terms that you need to know. First is called field. In the field is basically column. Column is this vertical. So column like ID. So field is basically column in the table. While record is basically row in the table. Row is basically this x-axis, like horizontal. Query is basically a command to pull the data from database. Okay. Primary key is basically a unique value to identify individuals' data. For example, your 900 number is individual. Like two people, they can have the same name, like Michael Smith. Two people, they might have the same first name and last name, but they can never have the similar primary key or the 900 number. From is basically to take input from user. Input data. So for example, let's say whenever you log into Hotmail, Gmail, so you need to complete a form. Like you need to put your username and password in order to access that stuff. That is called form. Example, the most widely or commonly used databases, the most commonly used databases, Microsoft Access. So that's the most widely used, please remember that. And we also gonna use that, of course. We also gonna use Microsoft Access. Next is the presentation program. I believe everybody's well familiar. Presentation programs are basically they actually use visual aid to communicate the digital content. For example, the slides and all that stuff. So example is Microsoft PowerPoint for Windows, and of course the Mac folks, they also use Microsoft Windows, but the specific tool developed by Apple, it is called Keynote for Mac, and Google Slides. Google Slides are absolutely free. It's a cloud-based office management system, in fact. Then we have word processing programs. Word processing programs can, I mean, it's not only that you can create documents with the word processing programs. With word processing programs, you can actually create web pages. So you need to actually write down your HTML code and save the document with HTML. So you can create even websites by using your Microsoft Word or text document. I'll show you guys in our lab, one of the lab, which is Internet Lab. Then desktop publishing. Desktop publishing mean you can create documents which can be printed out. Like you can take a printout, you can convert the short form of document into hard form. Then you can also create documents like letters and all that stuff. Examples for word processing programs are like MS Word, Microsoft Word that we have working. We have started working on. It's called Apple Pages, and Google Docs. These are some of the examples of word processing program. Okay, the last productivity software is MIS, Management Information System. And what exactly does MIS? It is basically suite of software to help managers for efficient office management. Okay, it has plenty of other software in it like TPS, TGSS that we talked about. First is TPS, Transaction Processing System. TPS is specifically designed for supervisors, the tier 1 employee, in fact, to track, or you can say for day-to-day transaction management. What exactly it does? They can actually, it focuses, TPS mainly focuses on tracking sales and inventories. So basically what happens whenever you sell something, automatically it will they have to update the entry in the inventories as well, so we can manage inventories as well. So TPS actually does that. Whenever you sell something, it will actually make it will update the sales table and also update the inventory table as well. Like this particular item is it's not anymore in the inventory. DSS, the next level people, it is specifically designed for middle level managers. Okay, and what it does, it provides forecasting capabilities. Provide forecasting capabilities for sales and production. Like for example, middle level manager, what they can do is, middle level manager can for example, if one of the item is not running good, so they can change strategies, they can fire supervisors, they can actually see whether supervisor is meeting their goal or not, stuff like that. And for example, if something is really in high demand, so they can increase the production and all that. Supply chain management, again, it is for the middle level manager, and what it does, it uses data from TPS plus DSS. So if it actually use the data of TPS and DSS to control the supply chain. Like if something which is really in high demand, it should not actually go out of stock or all that. Last two things. One is the ESS, Executive Support System. It is basically designed for top level managers. And what it does, it gets the data from TPS and DSS again and present overall department's performance. Again, it includes some charts rather than tables and all that stuff. It includes the data. It makes the data very simple to understand, like charts and all that stuff. Last is the ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. And please remember one thing, ESS has been replaced with ERP. ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. Enterprise Resource Planning. And ERP, it actually encompasses almost all the business activities. Like from production to tiny requirement of administration and all that stuff. ERPs, again, it is designed for top level managers. For example, CEOs, CFOs, it is basically designed for them, and it includes everything. Like it gets the data from complaint boxes, or you can say from complaint cells, customer feedback, etc. So it has the wider spectrum. It has it gets the data from everywhere and make the data more presentable. So we will start from here in the next class. See you guys in next class.